Friends, wherever we go in the world, death follows us. We can't escape death, but some people try to fulfill their last wish before they die. In this video, I will tell you about some of the strangest last wishes of people, which you will be surprised to hear. Friends, Pringles chips are one of the most famous chips in the world. If you haven't eaten Pringles, you must have seen it. Pringles was made by a company called Procter & Gamble in 1967. At that time, they were sold in packets. But then a food chemist, Frederick Bohr, gave the idea of putting Pringles chips in tubes and selling them. At that time, people found this idea very strange. But as soon as they saw it, Pringles became very famous all over the world. And Frederick also became a very famous man. In the 1980s, Frederick wrote his last wish to his children on a piece of paper. His last wish was very strange. This man was so passionate about Pringles that he wrote that after his death, his body should be burned, and then his ashes should be buried in the Pringles chips box. This was his last wish, and then it was done. Even today, in the grave of Frederick Bohr, his ashes are buried in the Pringles chips box. For this, a box of Pringles' original flavor was used. Friends, Charles Vance Miller was a very rich man in Canada. Before his death, he wrote a very strange will. He said that after his death, for 10 years, the woman who will give birth to the most children in Canada will be given $1.25 lakh from her wealth. No one knows why he did this. He died in 1926, and at that time, $1.25 lakh was a very big amount. This became very famous in Canada. From 1926 to 1936, women wanted to give birth to the most children in Canada. Women's eyes were on this prize money. Finally, after 10 years, 4 women came first in this strange contest. These 4 women gave birth to 9 children in 10 years. Every woman was given $1.25 lakh. In the media today, this incident is remembered by the name of the Great Stock Derby. Friends, Leona Hunsley was a very rich and famous American woman. She was known as the real estate queen. She died on August 20th, 2007. She loved her dog very much. This woman had left $12 million in her will in the name of her dog. That is about 1.5 billion rupees. Her dog's name was Trouble, and it became the richest dog in the world. After her death, $8,000 was spent on grooming her dog every year. $1,200 was spent on her food, and a security guard was also kept for this dog. Her dog died in 2011, and all the money given to her was given to an NGO that takes care of dogs. Friends, now let's go to Texas, USA. In Texas, USA, before punishing the prisoners who were sentenced to death before 2011, the last meal of their choice was served. But this law was abolished in 2011. The reason for this was that a prisoner named Lawrence Brewer was made. This man was asked what he wanted to eat before being sentenced to death. He said he wanted a triple cheeseburger, 2 chicken fried steaks, 2 cheese and beef omelets, meat lovers pizza, boiled okra with tomato, half a kilo of barbecue meat, double roti, 3 chicken fajita rolls, pineapple ice cream, and peanut butter. He ordered all this. Chefs rushed to the jail kitchen in Texas because they had very little time. There was very little time left in Lawrence Brewer's sentence. When all this food was prepared in front of Lawrence, surprisingly, Lawrence refused to eat anything. After this, he was hanged. But because of this incident, in September 2011, the law to give the last meal of their choice to prisoners sentenced to death in Texas was abolished. Friends, a very strange and poor person named T.M. Zink was an American lawyer who died in 1930. This man hated women very much. After his death, he left nothing for his wife and daughter. In fact, he made a $50,000 fund in his life and made a will that after his death, a library should be built where no woman is allowed to enter. No book there should be written by a woman. Not even the furniture there should be designed by a woman. He named it the Womanless Library. After his death, his wife and daughter challenged his will in court, and this mentally ill man's dream of a womanless library could not be fulfilled. Friends, now let's talk about a Portuguese businessman, Luis Carlos. This man had no family, and he was all alone in the world. He was addicted to alcohol, and because of that, his health had deteriorated. And maybe he felt that he was going to die very soon. Before dying, he did a very unique thing. He decided to distribute all his remaining wealth among strangers. This man chose 70 strangers from the telephone directory and made a will that after his death, his wealth should be distributed among these 70 people. He died 13 years later, and according to his will, these 70 people were contacted and they were told about his will. These people thought that maybe they were being joked with, but when they got money, these 70 people believed. Friends, have you ever heard of a person being buried in his car? Recently, in a city called Boding in China, a Chinese man was buried in his car according to his wish. This car was a Hyundai Sonata. This man loved cars very much. But this did not happen for the first time. Sandra West was a very famous and rich American woman. She loved expensive cars and expensive clothes. This woman's last wish was also very strange. Her wish was to be buried in her Ferrari. Her death was due to drugs at the age of 38. And then this was done. On May 19, 1977, Sandra was buried in her Ferrari in front of 150 people. She was also given a white gown. After this, her Ferrari was closed in a box, and this box was put in a 20 feet long grave. And friends, let's talk about Jeremy Bentham in the end. He was a famous philosopher and he lived in London. After his death, according to his will, all his savings were given to University College London. But he also had another will which you will be surprised to hear. His wish was that after his death, his body should be filled with mud and his wax statue should be placed in the university. It is said that his wish was also that his statue should be placed in the meeting room of the university, so that it is part of every meeting of the university. After his death, this was done for a few years. But then his statue was placed in front of the people of the university, which people can still see today. Friends, do tell us in the comments section which was the strangest last wish you had. If you liked the video, do like it. To watch more such interesting videos, subscribe to this channel and press the bell icon so that you are notified of all the new videos on this channel. Take good care of yourself.